Hello, finally we're here.
Yes.
Merry Christmas, everyone. Can you tell we've had a few little problems? Have a look at this. Can you believe it? The problem being that we've tried to get Jessie on the live and it will not work, Jess. You've come on 15 times and it's not going. So
I knew I would say something naughty.
Well, you're still going to be able to say something naughty because here you are. Now, I can't see the comment. Come on, let me do this. Oh, now it's not even letting me do this. Oh, dear me. Anyway, please, we'll just have to hope people are commenting and looking at it. Can you see the top? All right, Eden, you're going to be...
Yeah. Hi, Helen.
Oh, hi, Helen. Lovely to see you. Lovely to see you. Well, our big announcement today for our Christmas broadcast is our parenting series is up. Woohoo! And we thought it would be a little bit of fun to be talking about parenting with two of my children, two of my beloved children, and the chances of getting sanded on this lifetime are next to negative zero. Ain't going to happen. So, oh, Julie's there. Hi, my darling. How nice. So, here we go. Host chat. Oh, I've lost all of it. So what we've got here is a wonderful example of how parenting can work when you speak the same language with the personas, and how parenting can be a tad difficult when you have different personas to your children. I'm not looking at you, Eden, and you might fuck up and get it wrong. So shall we start off? I'll say my personas, which are Raven, Lion, Parrot, Nightingale, Peacock, Beaver. And Jess, yours are?
Parrot, Lion, Raven, Owl, Dog, Nightingale.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you. Get a tick for that. So you might have heard we have 4 shared personas there, the same top 3, just a different order. So for Jessie, I think it felt like you just knew that we were speaking the same language and it was fairly easy. Is that a fair comment, darling?
Yep, I would say easy breezy, beautiful cover girl. That's how I your parenting decisions made sense to me. I understood where you were coming from. I respected what you talked about, and it was just because that top 3 sharing those values. And I couldn't understand when Eden or Sandon, didn't get it. You know what I mean? Sometimes because I was like, that makes sense, but now we know personas. It's so obvious why we hit walls where the other ones didn't.
Exactly. So, Eden, your personas are?
I'm Nightingale, Owl, Beaver, Dog, Swan, Peacock. I have to think about
that. Exactly. And so, what was your experience? Mate, I'm being very brave here today, people.
Get ready. No, my experience was like overall completely fine. Like parenting wise, like I had a good childhood. Everything's all good. I think the one thing that was difficult was I looked like I had Lion, and I was talking to my mum about this the other day. And I don't have Lion. Lion's my missing animal, but I had Peacock at home. And so there was a part of my personality that looked quite outgoing, and I did a lot of theatre and a lot of performance at school. And so Mum just kind of always thought that I was the Lion persona.
Yeah.
So, and matched a lot of her parenting.
And with your owl, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It was the peacock and the owl combination that got me, because you were, a high achiever and you could do the arts, the dance, the music, the drama. So you put our ambition through there, and what do you get? And it's like, you're a lion. And I would keep saying to you, you can go for it, be the best, do this. And you would have a big pushback against me. And this is an energy that I have now named Swan. And I can feel it from 100 feet when there's a swan and I do lion. Come on, go for it. And they go, leave me alone. I don't want it. I'm not interested. And it just confused me, because sometimes you love to be the star and other times you were hiding and no one was ever to see you. And so this makes for miscommunication, doesn't it, Eden? And it really is difficult. And I felt frustrated that I was getting it wrong and I couldn't understand. And then Eden with Jesse, he's playing sport, and having tantrums if you didn't win and get the most goals. And it's just so totally different parenting that one has when you have children with different personas. And we did not know the personas when you were growing up. We should say that.
And I think it's really interesting. And I don't know if other people who are like children of divorce or they've had parents that have split up, but like mum and dad, two completely different people. Jess could always understand mum really well, and I could always understand dad really well, and that's right. And and it was really tricky when mum and dad separated. I was about 15, because there'd always been an energy in the house that I understood, and that understood sort of me, I thought. And when that energy was removed, and mum read me as a lion, it was just like, and especially because I was 16, like I'm at that age in my teen years, there's a lot going on. And it was just a recipe for disaster, really, just purely with my hormones and mum trying to get it right when we just would clash. So it can be very, very interesting. Ooh. And I cannot hear you anymore.
We did clash, and then
sorry, Mum, you're breaking up a bit, Mum. Sorry, you cut off there for a couple of minutes. I couldn't hear you.
Okay, so I was just going to say that Nightingale one is also tricky to parent because it's very sensitive and you will disappear and can get very lost and unreachable. And the old ways of how I might reach Jessie would not work with you. And we didn't know that. And I think a lot of parents, with the best will in the world, and all the parents out there know that it's the most challenging, most rewarding marathon of your life to be a parent. And it is so, the different ages bring up different challenges, and different stages of life bring different challenges. And sometimes it flows and sometimes it doesn't. And it's just so tricky to know, what do I need to give Jess? What do I need to give Eden? What do I need to give Sandon? Because you all needed different things. And there were parts of my personality that would reach you and parts of my personality and my personas that would alienate you. And unless you know this, you've got to keep falling in a hole and get it wrong.
Yeah, and it's really cool to be able to recognize the personas in your kids at any stage, because even now I can look back and just go, mum loved me so much. She was just trying to figure out like who the hell I was and how to communicate with me. And as you said, having Nightingale first, I was very reserved, very shut down, and would genuinely just be in my room for days. And so, it just makes so much sense looking back now.
Yeah, it does. It does. And I now know, Eden, and I promise you with all my heart, I'll never speak lying to you ever again. Oh, I always thought it was my raven. Yeah, cheers. I always thought it was my raven that was really triggering, but it actually isn't. It's actually the lion, isn't it?
Yeah, it's funny because I actually love a lot of the raven conversations and the things that we would have our sort of, because there was so much parrot in our household, we'd always be talking, but it would always be really deep subjects and really interesting things that I don't think a lot of like 14, 15-year-olds got really through that. I think you're lucky.
Yeah.
So, I think it crossed over into our world as well, Eden. Like both of us having owl, like even though mum had raven and no owl, we were still able to talk about our, almost like raven subjects, but within our understanding. Like I think about like philosophy and theology and things that regular kids aren't even interested in. And mum was able to speak that to us without the owl language, I suppose. But
no, that's actually spot on, Jess. That'll be why as well. Like the owls were able to stay sort of in the conversation and not lose interest in it, because if there was no owl and no raven, then that's a different story.
It was a bridge, wasn't it? It was a bridge. And also we all shared Nightingale. So the Nightingale loves the theology and the philosophy as well. So that actually helped us because we managed to meet. And with the music and the arts, that really helped as well. Jess, would you like to say a little bit about what we covered in our Persona Parenting series, or look at that?
Do you remember? No, it was good. we do, like we talk about, so say we're doing the parrot persona.
Yeah.
We talk about parenting a parrot, but then also being a parrot parent.
Yeah.
And I think the two lenses is so interesting.
Yeah.
And when we did the podcast, that was so interesting, looking at it from the lens of what do I need if I have that as the child, and then also what do I need to do if I have that and my child doesn't have it. There are so many different lenses to kind of put onto parenting. So that was really, really interesting.
Yeah.
We also looked at rites of passage. And there's a rite of passage for every persona that they kind of go through. It's almost in line with puberty and in line with that kind of things that you will inevitably go through and how to get out of it and how to not get stuck in it.
Yes.
I think the rites of passage are probably like the little keys of
I
wisdom
agree.
in the persona podcast. All of it is amazing, but knowing what the rite of passage is and then knowing, okay, this is going to happen. So then, I just think that is so helpful. That's a key.
Because the personas will all get stuck, won't they, in particular ways? So my line will get stuck. Every little line's going to get stuck being too bossy, too much of a dictator, get executed, pretend that they haven't been executed and they don't care at all, but underneath they're dying because they actually are very sensitive. And then they go in and they go in the dungeon, and then eventually, hopefully, they come out with a little bit more humility and they know better how to converse with people from more patience, from more consideration of others. But lions, if you are parenting a lion, they will need to learn that lesson, 50 times a year. So for a parent of a lion, especially if you don't have it, to know that that's the process, and my role is to do ... When my lion child has that happen, this is what we reinforce, this is what we learn, because it's the same lessons all the time. I'm still parenting Jessie about putting in beaver. Am I not?
Yeah, and you will have to until the day I die.
Yeah, I will. And Eden, we do
Someone has to do it.
Someone's got to do it. And I'm doing the same with Eden, where we do a bit of lion stuff, saying, well, as a missing lion, when you were bravest, it's been the best times of your life. And it's just, that's all we need to say. And I think it's fair to say I'm still learning how to add dog.
No, you're killing it these days, honestly. But also the cool thing about the rites of passage, if you're a parent listening to the podcast, is that it's almost like an audio quiz. You know what I mean? Like if your kid has, because if you've got a primary lion or a primary parrot or whatever, you're going to hear the rite of passage and you're going to go, oh no, that is exactly my kid. And it's going to really solidify, because we know that the top three comes out quite young. The bottom three comes out a bit later. But it should help you solidify the top three, I think, for sure.
And just know exactly, parents want to do the right thing, but what do? There's so many moments I can share. There's so many moments where I go, oh my God, what am I meant to do with this bit? And if you're not sure, we said, take your time, step back and see what's going on, because we really can be hooked into the drama, can't we? And the emotion and the trauma for the child. But that's not necessarily helpful. But then we come out and go, no, they're just here and I need to hold space. And we give directives for every persona. What they're needing from you is this. And to know that takes a lot of stress out of parenting.
Absolutely. And I think, from working with kids and looking at, parenting books and, how to talk to my child, all these fucking willy-nilly books that just were kind of one size fits all.
And it doesn't.
Isn't like that, once you realize that there are the personas and that this is how we all kind of work, you need something that is specific to each persona, and then you have to acknowledge that there's multiple personas that play with each kid, and it's just, there is no thing like this that exists, I think, that goes to the depth but also captures everybody without doing a one-size-fits-all kind of approach, because it's not right.
It doesn't work.
But the other cool thing I think about these podcasts is I was talking about it with people that I know, like I don't have kids, and my friends at 26, we don't have kids, but so much of what we talked about we could apply to our inner child. Like I was like, oh shit, like we were talking about parenting a little parrot, and I was like, actually I should be
doing that
little parrot to see that, and all of this can be used. Like you don't need to be a parent to access this. It's this, everything that we talked about completely applied to, if we were talking about a persona that was in your map, you can use that parenting technique for your inner child. And I think that was also a super cool part of this series.
Yeah, I love that. I think the better we can parent ourselves and understand our issues and what we need to take responsibility for, and to know when we're in child ourselves, often you get a lot of parenting where we're in child and our children are in child, and you just end up with conflict, power struggles, miscommunication, and a little bit of damage, keeps happening over and over again. And then we feel terrible and we judge ourselves as parents and we doubt ourselves, and coming from child, we'll never find the right way. No. So, our children are originals. There's no other child on the planet who's like anyone here, and there's no other parent the same as me. So there's a lot of peer pressure when you're a parent to do it like the other parents are doing it as well. And if they're not your personas, I remember how, when I was parenting you guys, all the parents were sort of stewing up organic veggies and freezing them in ice blocks for the babies. And I'm going, fuck off. I've got Heinz baby food. That'd be fine. What do they need? I'll breastfeed them for 2.5 years. I don't want to have to feed them. I still don't want to feed you. I never wanted to feed you. It's just, that's on my street. But I felt bad because that's the no dog. I don't want to feed my children. But I wanted to feed you. I wanted to feed you philosophy, meaning of life. No, I don't want to feed you. Like Subway or do. Won't Subway do? You like Subway, guys.
Our childhood in one word. Our childhood in one word is Subway or sausage roll.
I had to wean myself off Subway.
But I had salad. There was salad.
So I have addiction problems, and I got so addicted to Subway, like to this day. Like footlongs, I can't. We even raised on Subway, and I stand by it.
I stand by it. I also stand by it. Let's bribe children. I have no problems with bribing children. I like doing deals with children, and I like explaining to kids. Right, you do this, you behave here, you do this assignment, we get that here. Then we'll negotiate this. You're with me, like working together, knowing what matters to the child and what will get them to cooperate. But it's also then they start to internalize these skills that you're trying to get them to get to. So, but, bribery is good. This could be a parenting series unlike any others, I'm just suspecting.
I don't know if you can see the comments yet, Mum.
No, I can't see it. Can you read some out?
Someone's just gone, oh my God, Katie, lol. But it says for people commenting, there's a few comments coming in and it doesn't have your name attached. So I'm sorry, I don't know who's commenting. We've got hi Eden and Jessie. Hello.
Hey girl. Oh boy.
Leanne, or non-gender binary, whoever you are.
Leanne's here, said, I love this, child-led versus process-led, recognizing and celebrating each unique soul. And maybe if you just want to repeat, just for a couple of people joined a little bit late, just to explain what the parenting series is. So it's a new lot of podcasts that are coming out.
We have a fantastic series that Jessie and I have been working on all year recording. And it's a parenting series, and so it's about 14 hours worth of information on parenting. We look at, we do a little introduction. We do overall trends in parenting where we look at, in my era and all the eras behind that, it was Beaver. Beaver parenting was the way to go. And we've now had the pendulum swing a long way the other way into dog parenting. So Jessie and I then have a look at the trends and fads of parenting from Beaver to dog. And when we get lost where it's too dog or if it was too beaver, and what's the middle balance, what do we need? We look at moonlighting the personas. Now, people who have done our group work, lovely to have you here, but we know that moonlighting, the moons of our persona are the 4 personas we don't have. And so when your children don't have personas that you have or vice versa, it makes it very hard to understand the language. So Jessie and I have talked about all 10 personas, assuming you don't have them, and they're called the moonlighting episodes, where there are suggestions for teachers, for parents, for partners, because you want to get on the same page as partners and not be fighting about, I think we should parent this way, we've got to do more beaver, no, we've got to do more dog, no, you've got to do this. To understand that, no, let's figure out who this child is and find out what they need. It's not a power struggle where it's an ego war about who wins. And we find out, well, if you've got a little nightingale, what's great about being a nightingale? How could we celebrate that in the family for a week? And then we would understand the gifts of nightingale and the challenges of nightingale. And we would be supportive and how to do that in a classroom, how to do that in a family. And Jessie, they were the most intense sessions we did when we did the moonlighting ones. We were exhausted, absolutely exhausted afterwards, but the content really excited us. We've done every persona then, all 10 personas. What do they like as parents? What's a lion parent? What's a dog parent? What's a beaver parent like? And then what does a lion child need? What does a dog child need? What does a beaver child need? Where are they weak? Where will they need support? Do they need to learn more empathy or more resilience? Where do they find meaning? How do we make it meaningful for them? And so we've gone through that. And then we finish off the series with how the 10 personas are with homework. Just a little tidbit. It's so funny because how they approach homework is how they'll approach everything for the rest of their lives.
Yeah. And like we said as well, it's a parenting podcast, but I don't think you need kids. I don't think you need to work.
No, it's self-parenting as well. It's a self-parenting resource
for everyone. And it when you turn it back and you put it back on yourself and your inner child, and when you get stuck in your personas, it is so helpful. Well, like when we were recording it, even Mum and I were like, "Oh fuck, I've forgotten to do that," or you forget to self-parent sometimes. And I think this podcast really helps, whether or not you have kids or not.
Definitely. Again, the better you can parent yourselves, the less you're in child, the less conflict you're going to have with your children, the better you're going to be able to meet their needs and see who they are. You know, every little person on the planet were born hoping and wishing to be seen, understood, and loved unconditionally as they are. And if you don't get their personas, you try and make them a lion, for instance, when they're not, it can cause a little bit of trauma. But then we choose our parents. So like I always said to my kids when they were having a hard time, well, you chose me, choose better next time. You're lucky to have me. I'm a great mother. Please, parents.
Not necessarily the best advice in a time of trauma.
Don't you think?
Yeah, well, you fucking chose me. Deal with it.
Yeah, exactly. I actually did say that on many occasions. And
I remember.
And on another occasion, I know, hence your trauma. And on another occasion, you know, you were told you'd be put in the bin or I was going to murder you, or I'd take you back to the shop and get another one because I'm going to take you back. I'm not happy with this version.
And I dare you, but I had lied. So.
Yeah, I know. So we had some fun there. We did have some fun. But even as adults now with grown children, whenever you find this language, oh my God, Eden, where would you and I be, sweetheart, if you and I couldn't understand the persona language?
I genuinely don't know. Because I think the archetypes and that sort of work was around
helpful,
for my whole childhood. So we already had a foundation of trying to understand a different language to help us sort of connect and understand each other better. But it wasn't until the personas really came in that I think I could actually understand why some things were so tough with us when I was growing up, and like on both ends we just clashed.
For both of us, yeah.
It's genuine. Like for some reason we've managed to come out of this like best friends, really close, and just and that I'm so grateful for, because you know I know a lot of people who aren't close with their parents, and that can be really painful and awful. And I know a lot of people that have these sorts of things happen with parents and this sort of dynamic, and if they can't heal it or they can't understand each other, then you don't ever really make a bridge, and it's too hard to mend sometimes. So yeah, I mean, without the personas, I think we would have been pretty stuck.
I think we would have struggled really, really hugely, even though there's such a deep love both ways that we have. Like you and I share 3 personas. They're my second 3. So, but we can consciously talk in those personas to each other. And we do. You know, you're coming over and we're going to sit and talk for hours every day that you're here. And we'll talk about everything, and we really are like best friends.
Yeah.
And because we can respect each other, and we'll laugh when Eden needs beaver stuff. I will laugh and go, yeah, you're right, sweetheart. Make the security decision. I'm totally behind you.
Yeah.
Whereas the old me would have said, who gives a fuck about security, sweetheart? Be a lion, throw everything to the wind, and you go, oh, I'm having a fit. I'm having a really nice. Whereas
without security, I die. Like I genuinely.
And now I back you and I say, Eden, don't forget, do the beaver. You've got to have security or it won't work. So I can so validate the way you are wired.
That's the thing with the personas. If you don't know, because I reckon that more often than not, you have kids that don't have your personas, because that's the lesson. That's for all involved. But it's like we say, it's almost like talking Mandarin and then talking English.
It is.
Like you're trying to talk to each other, but you're just speaking different languages and you're banging your head against a wall. And I feel, you guys are great now, but imagine if we'd had this language, when we were growing up. There was probably so much arguments or whatever.
I know.
And I imagine he probably would have had to go to the naughty corner way less time.
Can I tell that story before Sandon? So Jesse and I share 4 personas. Eden and I share 3 personas. And Sandon and I share 2 personas. And he's very like his dad, and he's very like my dad, and both all primary swans. And so I remember saying to my mother once, I knew the archetypes, I started doing the personas, we were driving somewhere, and I said to my mum, why the fuck did I get a primary swan child? Seriously. And she said, well, you have to teach us how to parent them. That's why. And I went, of course, my Raven loved that answer. I went, okay, fair enough. But I honestly think, between you all, you've got all the personas. What I don't have, my children gave me the ones I don't have. And I had to learn how to parent all of them by having you kids have different ones, getting it wrong over and over again, but not being okay with getting it wrong, because I'm the parent. It's my responsibility. If there are difficulties in the relationship with my children, it's not up to my children to find a bridge and to fix it. It's up to me, and I need to keep going. And we've worked bloody hard at that, may I say. And Sandon and I too now, and we get on like a house on fire. I just love him to bits. But, as I sit down and watch his rap singers and his video games and Killer Mike and skateboarding and vintage combis and, all of that, and I'm just, organic permaculture. It's like, I'm so not there, but I love you, sweetheart. It's just, that's how it works. You learn how to inhabit your children's worlds, and that's how you have the intimacy, and you don't impose your worlds on your children. You know the difference, and you speak to their values and can be encouraging in the right way. So I learned with Jessie, compliment Jessie to the max. I learned with Eden, compliment her sometimes, and other times don't, because she doesn't like it. And I learned with Sandon, never, ever compliment him, because it's too much pressure and he just hates it.
I'll take him.
Yeah,
I'll just read a few of the comments.
Please do.
Yes, girl.
Belinda said, oh, my God, that's concerning. Read the homework. So you do the homework the way you, Rose said, my child, I didn't ask to be born. My answer, you're the one who swam to win the race. Own it.
That's perfect.
Fees just said, at an Xmas do, just dropping in to send love. Can't wait for the replay. Arnie Gilly said, helpful as a dog, beaver, nightingale to understand a no lion peacock.
Yes, totally. Yeah.
So, and Sarah's just said, wow, this is so very beautiful to witness and hear and to know. It is never too late.
It's never too late, my darlings. It's never, never, never too late. You can just build bridges so well. And it's just learning how to speak to each other. It's the art of communication. And our kids want unconditional love, but we've got to learn how to love ourselves unconditionally first. And how do you do that when you can't tell whether this is child, this is adult, whether this is good, this is bad, should I not be like this, should I be like this? This language has been birthed and written for our times to increase the connection between people for our new age. It's just, and it does, it works. Relationships will transform. Not only will your relationships with your children transform by listening to this and going over it again and again. We have people who listen to the podcast 20 times. I can't imagine, Jesse.
I don't remember what we said.
No, I don't. No, because we are parrots. And Abby said to us, in the interest of consistency, I feel like I must point out, parrot is 10 to 15 minutes longer than the others. And I said,
that is consistent.
Yeah, and the problem is, what's your issue?
Yeah.
They're not all the same. We're both parrots, and we thought of something afterwards. We had to add it, Get a grip.
Stand by
it. We stand by every word we said, whether we should or we shouldn't.
I don't remember what they were, but I'm fucking
Well, my darlings, I think we've just about covered what we've got in the parenting series, and it's just
also, just quickly, when you all listen to it, can you please let us know if it's good or not?
Yes, compliment.
For Mum and I to make this series, like, we really tried our hardest, which is a lot for this no beaver. Like, we we try really hard, and it is a lot, and we get really scared of offending people, but we say what we feel needs to be said, and
it's a fine line.
We really like the feedback, honestly.
We'd love some feedback as long as it's good.
Yeah, otherwise.
No. We'd love some feedback, but yeah, I was saying to my groups this week that they may be surprised with my Raven Lion how vulnerable I get, and to put this information out, I was a bit tense today. I'm not very tense ever, but I was a little bit tense today as I'm pulling it together to do this and writing all the descriptions of the podcast. You feel extraordinarily vulnerable when you create something and you put it out that way. And the lion has a terror of being misunderstood. Yeah. The raven has a terror of being hated and crucified because of the parrot being persecuted. And yet we came to deliver this work, and we did deliver it with love, the best that we could, which is not to say that it's perfect by any means. And we just send it to you all, hope it helps, and then we'll get on with the next thing we work. But every time we do our purpose, everyone, it's exciting and daunting, and we have a contraction with the birth, and we feel so vulnerable all week. I just felt, oh my God, I hope it's going to be all right. And it will be like that for the rest of my life. Everything, every book, every podcast, everything we put out, every children's story, which will come in the new year. It's like, oh my God. But so we'd love to hear from you if it's valuable, because really all that matters to us is, has it made a difference to your kids, to you? Can you be kinder to yourself as a parent? Can you stop judging yourself as a parent? Can you understand that you don't have to be perfect? I fucked up right royally so many times. I seriously screamed and yelled my way as a lion to my children. I did scream at them that I'd murdered them many, many times, and it was just water off a duck's back, so... But and then I'd hate myself afterwards, and I'd forget the 23 hours that I did well in the day, and the 1 hour that I just lost it altogether when I've got a migraine and I've had too many clients and I can't do anymore, and you lose it. It's about having a kind relationship with yourself as a parent too, because you don't need to be perfect for it to work out that you have fabulous relationships with your kids in adulthood, can I say? Would you agree, Eden?
Yeah. I was going to say, I was just wanted to, while you were talking, a couple of people were just saying, Christy said, love the sounds of it already. Thank you. Haley said, I'm so excited to listen to these podcasts. Donna's asked a question. She's just said, how and where do we access these podcasts? My daughter and I are opposites.
Okay. So we've got our shop link on our website. So it's going to be put up. Leanne will put it on Persona Grata. We will have a link for it. We'll have a link for it on our Instagram. We'll have a link for it on Persona Grata, and we'll have a link for it on our website, katieedentodd.com. And we've got a shop on the Persona Grata page. So have a look. You will find it, and a series. So 15 episodes in all, I think. So an enormous amount of material. Can I really encourage you to listen to the personas you don't have? Yes. Of course, you'll go to yours first up and what you think, but as soon as you hear the ones you don't have, you go, oh my God, that's my husband, or that's my wife, or that's my boss. That's my sister. And you just get less triggered. We should say the personas you don't have, this is where you're so triggered and where we set up power struggles and conflict over and over. To be able to put ourselves in other people's shoes. One of the strong lessons we mentioned over and over again, Jessie, when we did this was, and this was one of the things I really instilled in you guys, was to be able to put yourself in another person's shoes. So if you upset each other or hurt each other, I would make you experience the same thing and say, well, what does that feel like?
So
in a very gentle way. Like if you smacked them, well, I'll smack you a bit hard. And let's see, did you like that? Did you like that? Does that work? Does it work when you call someone that name? It doesn't. Well, there you go. You may apologise and then you won't do it again. Like emotional intelligence is the ability to put yourself in someone's shoes and to know what we deliver, how it may affect others. That's a theme, I think, that goes through. Did I harm you guys for doing that, Eden?
Maybe. Was it worth it? Yes.
Yes, it was worth it. Yes.
Thank you very much.
We're okay.
We're the kids that are like, I was smacked as a child and I turned out fine.
Thank you. I wasn't going to mention that. We weren't going to mention violence in parenting in this particular series.
No, we don't stand for it anymore.
No, we don't.
But,
no.
Yeah, I turned out fine.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. I'm glad I was allowed to do it. It was only once. It never got more than once. It was only once on occasion. And I must say, it's when we moved house. It was so funny. when we moved house, when I did separate from your dad, and we went to Inglewood, and as soon as we got in, we'd only been there for an hour, and Sandon said to me, he's 8, Mum, where's the naughty corner?
He was ready. He was paid a lease on that naughty corner.
Because he was going to be there sooner rather than later, being this swan who was obstinate. No, I won't.
It was just easier to get the floor layout.
Yeah. So, and there wasn't a good corner, so he just had to face the wall.
Yeah.
So, yes.
So here you go, parenting tips.
Parenting tips. Tell you what, face the wall, boundaries, and 2 minutes timeout. If you're a 2 minutes timeout, how are you, sweetheart? You're okay. Come and look at the phone afterwards. I'm so sorry. Are you okay? What do you want? If that's your style of parenting, you definitely need to listen to this. You need to we teach you about not making sure you're the parent and the children aren't leading. Don't let the children be parents. They may think they know everything and they're ready to rule the roost. It's actually the worst thing you could do for them. We've got to be the parents, even if we get it wrong. We've still got to be the ones who are there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Agreed.
All righty. Any other points there mentioned, Eden, and then we'll move on.
Melissa said, these podcasts could not have come at a better time for me. Parenting a parrot lion. Thank you. Christy said, I'm sure my best friend is Nightingale top 3 and I desperately want to know how to talk to her. Sometimes I just feel so lost, but I dearly love her and want to connect even deeper.
There we go. Brilliant.
Joe Josie says, hi, everyone, and going to put you all on speaker, and hugs from her hospital bed. Hope you're all right, Joe Josie.
Much love, Joe Josie.
And Danny said, hope you're doing okay, to Joe Josie and Helen as well. So lots of love to Joe Josie, whatever's happening.
Yeah.
Hope you're okay.
Also, you both just look so hot.
No.
Like, sue me, you know what I mean? Guys.
Thank you. Thank you kindly, darling. I do have to say, you guys are gorgeous, but that's because your dad is a particularly handsome man. So what can I say? He is always
I still found the sorry everyone, there were some old photos of that my uncle Barry, my dad's brother, uploaded the other day of my dad when he was younger, and I can't remember seeing dad this age, and he just looked like Sandon. It was just so like they were yeah.
All right, my darlings, let's get on to the really interesting stuff. Harry Potter. Let's do Harry Potter movies. Movie characters, what are their personas? This is a great way to teach your kids. There is a kids quiz also, parents, you can do on to understand your children, but you're going to get it through the parenting series anyway. But the kids love this language. We will have children's stories coming out in the new year, which they will love, and will help teach them where they get stuck and how to get out of it. But let's discussing the personas of TV that you watch and so forth. We thought it might be fun to do that. We've had requests to do parenting and we've requests to do TV and movie characters for eons. So Harry Potter, we love this series. Eden and I actually don't know how we would have managed adulthood without it. Would that be a fair statement, Eden?
It's honestly, I didn't realize, because I was really mad at J.K. Rowling this year for obvious reasons.
Which we're not going to discuss, yes.
Which we won't discuss, it just enrages me. But I went through something really, really traumatic a couple of weeks ago, and I didn't know what to do. And I realized that if I put on a Harry Potter movie, maybe that'll make me feel better. And it honestly just transported me back to, like, you don't even have to watch it. It's just in the background. It's
the music in the background. Yeah.
And it was just like, oh, it's just this comforting blanket that I can always, grab if I need.
That's an anxiety management technique where it's like, apparently it's a sign of anxiety is that you rewatch, shows and movies that you love because they bring you comfort and you know what's going to happen. So apparently that's a thing. When you feel anxious, you should go and rewatch a movie or a show that you love because there's no surprises. And it's just like it comforts you.
Well, when I started teaching all these classes, I watched Harry Potter every day. So does that mean I was anxious?
Yep.
I just love it.
I never use that word.
Mum,
I never use that word. I never ever refer to that.
You function on like a high level of anxiety like most days, honestly. I feel like that's what you do.
I've never used that word. I've never. It's true. It's just a word that my lion and my raven have never thought of. It's just not.
But it's sorry.
Ask me to do a beaver accounting tax thing. I'll tell you what, there's anxiety there. I'll put my hand up for that.
Not heart rate increase when he said those words.
I know. And when you say spreadsheets, I'm like, oh, can I go now? It's like, leave me alone. So we were looking at this, and it's interesting because I think the Harry Potter series is very raven and it's very owl. And they have done research where they've shown that the kids, the millennials and the Gen Ys who have watched this have more empathy and have more humanitarian tendencies.
Yes.
And they are more likely to be child activists and want to be on the part of progressives to make changes in the world, because they have this mindset that children can defeat the dark. They can defeat the Voldemorts, the Trump and the fuckwit, neoliberal ideology of our world, which we've spoken about before. Kids who've read this believe it was an amazing change of consciousness that came through with these stories. But I actually just wanted to go to Hogwarts because I didn't like school that much, and I was, I thought I was a bit of a lunatic because what I wanted to learn what they learn at Hogwarts.
Yeah, I learned the dark arts. You would have slayed.
I would. I could have been an aura. I could have been Mad Eye Moody, and I tell you, I would have been there. Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Eden would have been the head of. You'd be a Ministry of Magic employee, Eden.
I would.
I would have been both of the twins.
Oh, you would.
I would have been both of the twins as one person.
Yes. Now, I would like some empathy right now, everyone, for my parenting days, because Jessie was both of those in one person.
Like I was the.
So let's have a look at some of the characters in Harry Potter and just name a couple of personas. And if anyone wants to discuss, Eden, can you look at the comments if anyone wants to ask any questions?
I can take them up.
My phone charger. I'm sorry, this is not good. We didn't expect to do this on the phone, so I'm just going to get my phone charger. Y'all keep doing it.
We'll keep going.
And I'm going to be right back.
Okay, thank you. So we have a vacant screen. So, Eden, we were talking about Hagrid.
Yes.
And I think that was the first Harry Potter toy that I bought you. Was that right? I bought you Hagrid and then Hedwig.
Yes. Yes, I don't actually I feel like that Hagrid doll is somewhere in a box. But yes, first doll I got was a Hagrid doll because he's just the best. But he's, I think, out of all of the characters, he's one of the easiest to pick because he is quite simple, is Hagrid. But he, like, if you think of, we were just discussing this earlier, but if you think of someone who's living in this little sort of isolated cabin next to a forest, loves to work with animals, and that's his job, very sort of humble, very doesn't have very sort of high maintenance needs, quite a low maintenance individual. Like, you start thinking about those things and you can kind of put two and two together for maybe at least one persona that is obvious that he has, and that would be Swan.
Yes.
We've got Haley's just said, I've never watched or read Harry Potter, so we won't stay with Harry Potter the whole time, I don't think, so don't worry.
We're going to do Breaking Bad next and Game of Thrones. So I think there's a little bit of variety coming up. So, so he's got Swan, but he's also a sparrow. He's very naive, very gullible, and, when he has to send Norbert back, the dragon back, but what are the other dragons are mean to him? Get a grip, Hagrid. It's so good. So he's got Sparrow, and of course he's an animal whisperer. He just loves animals and work, and he didn't like school very much, and so he loves nature, but he's very loyal, a real protector of Harry, and very loyal to Dumbledore. But we've got Swan and Sparrow there, which I think is absolutely gorgeous. So having a look at the main cast of characters here, let's have a look at Harry, and let's have a look at Ron and Hermione. So you remind me somewhat of Hermione, may I say, Eden Sarah Wade?
Yes.
I'll take it.
Hermione.
Yeah.
Hermione was really, really amazing. Obviously, a primary
owl.
Yeah.
But she's owl on a level that I couldn't never.
Well, you're secondary, so it makes all the difference, doesn't it?
It does. But I think, as we were saying before, with owls, we can have a bit of imposter syndrome, and you don't actually feel like you're as good as people say you are. Even if you're getting straight A's at school or whatever, you always feel like, oh no, that I can do better. There's more I can do.
Like she worries about failing her subjects all the time when she's got this. Yeah. And she has her beaver list, the study schedule that the boys have to follow. And so, yes, it's just
beaver as well, very strong. And having that, that bag just sort of full of things, but is organized. She can pull out whatever it is, even though it's, full of thousands of objects. So, yeah, beaver very strongly too.
And I reckon she's got lion because she is extremely bossy.
She is very bossy. Yeah, I mean, she's not afraid of telling people what she thinks. I remember when Mad Eye Moody was teaching Defense Against the Dark Arts. Well, it wasn't.
She called him out, the Cruciatus curse.
Yeah, and really stood up to him, which is something that I don't think I would have balls to do. And
no, I would. Yeah. No, a lion would. A lion would. Yeah, absolutely. So, but also I think she's got Sparrow. I think she's got Sparrow in her second three because she gets really anxious and panics and worries and does a loop and she can burst into tears. And so it's funny because she's very logical, very clever. Yeah. But then underneath she can get frantic and she can get too black and white about things. But then eventually she gets there. So I reckon we can see those 4 personas in Hermione. Fascinating.
Just saying, Danny says, I love this conversation so much. And Helen said, I know it's a crime, but I never have either. Never seen it.
Oh, Helen.
She said, bring on Breaking Bad. So
okay, we will do Breaking Bad. So, no, Harry Potter, you've got to read them. I just finished them for the 11th time, the entire series, a couple of months ago. So I was watching them during the day and reading the same books at night. Was that anxiety, Jess?
It was. Move on. There's other stuff,
Yeah, I get it. So now we went on to Schitt's Creek. Now that I've moved on from Harry Potter, I'm on to Schitt's Creek, which might be a Peacock show. It's just possible. We're talking Peacock with some Sparrow. David's got high Sparrow. David freaks out and has high Sparrow and anxiety about stuff, higher than Alexis does, which is really, really interesting. And the dad has, he's got strong beaver, when he's talking about, when he was talking that episode about tax write-offs.
Oh, yeah.
Not a tax write-off. He's got high beaver and lion in there as well, but he's lovely, the dad. He's so sound. She's just Peacock Lion, and it's all about her and, not a maternal bone in her body. And my babies.
David.
My babies. It's so funny, but I love the progression of dark Peacock to light Peacock that happens for all 4 of them over the 6 series. It's, if you want to understand Peacock, Schitt's Creek, and very funny and very light in this heavy time. Trevor and I finished. We watched the whole 6 series, and then we went straight back to the first one the next night. Yeah, and we watch 1 or 2 episodes every night before we go to bed. I just love it. It's like a warm blanket cover. It's just lovely to see that. There's some very, very good things in that series.
That's a good way of describing, persona-wise, what that show does. It really does go from dark Peacock through to light. That's exactly what the progression is.
So I started and I went, I'm not sure about this. I don't know if I can cope, But it got better and better, and by the 3rd series, it just grew and grew and grew. Yeah. And I love where you're going with this, because it doesn't just stay stuck where they are at the start. So it's really, really fabulous. It was the hit of 2020, interestingly. Won all the Emmys and so forth. So coming back to Harry Potter very briefly, we have Ron, and Ron's personas. He's the loyal dog to Harry, being the main one character, but he's also the grumpy swan, and he's the pessimist, isn't he? He's prickly and he's the pessimist, and he gets jealous of all his attention, but then he doesn't want it, and then he's self-talk when he has to go and play Quidditch is so terrible, and so we've very much got a dog swan there, but he's brave and clever and canny in certain ways, street smart like a swan is.
Yeah, actually, he's street smart. That's exactly how you go.
What does Arthur have? The dad, the Weasley dad.
Oh,
is he a Sparrow?
Yeah, he's definitely got Sparrow.
Yeah,
he's such a sweetheart. Excited. He's so sweet.
He has to have a swan, I reckon. I reckon there'd be some swan through the Weasley family.
Oh, there is. Yeah, sure. And his dog would be his first animal. We always talk about in the parenting podcast, what's your first animal? Not your birds. But like my first animal and Jess's is lion. That's our number 2. Eden's first animal was beaver. Your style is very much set. how you're going to parent and how you are in life relating to people by your first animal. And he would have dog as the first animal, whereas Mrs. Weasley doesn't have dog as first animal.
Not fair.
She's a hot swan. She's a hot swan.
Do you reckon then, who's the older one that's a dickhead?
Percy. Percy.
Yeah, do you reckon he's got like done pretty far?
Yeah.
Right?
Totally.
He's snobby as well.
He's got beaver and he's got some line underneath. He doesn't have the dog loyalty. He's got line underneath and he wants to be the best and he wants to.
Owl.
And he's got owl. He has.
And head boy, all that shit.
That's right. Beaver, owl with some
line.
line.
The two twins got some parrot. Right?
They've got huge parrot, but they've also got peacock.
Yes.
You know, because they had glitter. They were parrot, peacock, lions. I mean, talk about a big combination. Vanessa, if you watch this, you'll know this is talking about Vanessa. Went, whoo, big people, parrot, peacock, lions, and they're going to go their way, and you'll be talking about them for generations to come. They're so amazing. What about Harry's personas, my darling?
Lion boy.
Not primary, because he doesn't have the arrogance and the entitlement.
Right?
No, I said that he had to have owl somewhere because he ends up working for the ministry, so he still looks for that sort of
change.
Yeah. He's like, he's not going to go out on his own and do his own thing. It's like he's going to be a part of the administration and be an aura or whatever. And also, he still gets good grades at school. He might not be Hermione level, but he's still, he does well in his classes.
Raven.
It's a Raven series. Well done. He's a primary Raven.
Surely.
He is.
But is he primary? Because where's the rage, bitch?
He does have the rage. If you read again on the 11th time, the rage that he has.
It's not in the movies.
No, but it is in the books. It is in the books because they can't get there, but he gets furiously angry about a lot of things. The rage actually comes up. When you go back over it, you go, oh, wow. Yeah, he's often very, very angry.
I think the rage is Raven.
Sorry?
This is why you have to have the books over movies.
Yeah, this is true.
There's so much more depth to it, whereas in the movies you would not pick that.
No. He's got courage, he's got rage, he's got a destiny, and he's prepared to die for his destiny. And whatever has to be done. He does have that psychic ability to, tune into Voldemort and pick up messages and stuff. And he's as brave as they come to Snape, to whoever. And he is a leader. He is a leader, but not an arrogant leader. Malfoy's got line higher. He's got peacock and lion. He goes, oh, this is servant stuff. This is beneath me. And that's not Harry. Harry doesn't have that at all. I reckon lion is 4 for Harry. So it's underneath, but he doesn't want to be the obvious leader, but he will do the Raven quest to his death to help save others.
What does he have on top then? Dog or something?
No, I don't think so.
What's the thing that brings him there?
Got any swan?
Sorry?
You think he's got any swan?
I don't know.
Because
something that calms him down, though. You know what I mean? Like, we've named Raven, we've named Lion, but he doesn't come across like any of that shit.
And what about Nightingale?
This is what I thought. I was like, maybe the way that he comes across rage-wise or anger-wise, to me, almost came across as like swan anger in the way that I saw it. So I was wondering if he had any swan in his chart, maybe, rather than
he could have some swan there. He could.
Nightingale makes sense though too.
With the loss of his parents, the grief that they're right from the word go, and he loses people all the time.
Yeah.
Every book he loses people. So there's Nightingale love and sacrifice on behalf of the greater good.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So interesting.
Eden, any comments?
Are there any comments there, Eden, Sarah?
No, Vanessa Miller's just said greetings, and that's it. Okay,
let's move off Harry Potter. Breaking Bad. This is something that's
guys, I can barely remember all of Breaking Bad.
I don't remember that either.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to say a little bit.
People say I look like Jesse Pinkman, though.
Sometimes. You do. You actually do.
Destined to be a drug dealer.
Yeah. Well, if you want to, you've got all the makings. You've got all the makings.
Oh, Danny just said, I picked some Nightingale in there for Harry and how he carries those feelings. Yeah.
I think so too. She's a primary Nightingale, so Danny knows. So interesting in Breaking Bad, and this is something that Sandra and I share. We just love this series. He's watched it 3 or 4 times. I have. He can quote anything from it. We share, because Sandra and I share parrot and lion. Our lion actually gets this, and it's very much lion swan stuff. So,
and we all have parrot. I just love that.
Yeah, Eden doesn't.
Wait.
She doesn't.
Why do we get along so good?
The peacock is funny.
Yeah, okay. The peacock and my parrot play well because you make me laugh more than anyone.
Eden always has. Eden makes everyone laugh to crying laughter. That's exactly right. She's always done that. So, interesting with Walter White. He starts off and he's a bit under the thumb, and then life is really hard. He's sort of beaten up, and it's really difficult until eventually he breaks. He's an owl, for sure, with a chemist. He's an owl chemist. There was a dog there, I think, in him as well. He's sort of a family man. But when he gets pushed and broken, we find there's a swan and there's a lion underneath, and he loves being the best and doing what he does. And he has no worries about breaking the law eventually and where he goes. So it's really fascinating how he can play the game, and he's so strategic as an owl in what he does and living the double life. Jesse Pinkman is so fascinating because he's a swan, who's this kid that he taught at school, and he's a drug dealer but small-time player, and he's got dog, and he's desperate for a father and for someone to understand. If anyone needed their parents to watch the parenting, his beaver parents totally did not get Jesse Pinkman, and he's looking for that in Walter White, who he calls Mr. White for the entire series, which is just so extraordinary, yet they have such a deep love at times until Walt goes so dark. But Jesse's got Nightingale. He actually loves people and that's so surprising in a show that is about that stuff. And the other character that's wonderful in that show is Saul Goodman, who I just loved, and he's a parrot lion. He has, and swan. He's got no compunction. He'll do anything. He can say anything. And Peacock is a media hussy, and he is so funny. And I love the follow-up series with him with Better Call Saul. It's just, what a character. What an amazing character. And they were really, really interesting people. Interestingly enough, Skylar, Walter's wife, got really hated, which the writers never expected. And that was because she was this real stickler beaver. You can't do this, you have to do that. And they hated her. Marie had the peacock, shoplifting and in her purple all the time, and she was amazing. But that's the beaver part of Skylar. People absolutely turned on Skylar.
Haley just said, "Yep, Jesse, so Nightingale and Sparrow, I think."
Yes, there was some Sparrow. There was some Sparrow as well. Definitely the swan stuff as well, and then it gets the crazy, chaotic stuff, and the parrot excess. We saw that as well. So lots of birds, no beaver. So no lion, no beaver. Some dog. He actually was easy. He would follow. So as a dog, he was a natural follower, but followed the wrong people. In desperation to belong.
Yeah, and that's.
I was just going to say, it makes sense that the beaver was hated, I suppose, because it's not necessarily a beaver
show. It's an anti-beaver show, isn't it?
Yeah, the people who are going to watch it and be like, fuck yeah. It's going to be the people who are like, get out of here, break the sword. Kill the dogs, bro. It
was a very swan show.
Whereas I would look at Skylar and be like, yes, try and protect them. This is all going to go terribly wrong. Oh, my God. This is going to end so badly. And after many seasons, I was right.
Oh, you were right. Sarah and I would not get on.
Danny's just said, I didn't like Skylar not missing Beaver at all.
No, exactly. All right, Game of Thrones, my darlings. Did we watch Game of Thrones?
Yeah.
The episodes were too long.
Oh. You couldn't concentrate.
It was like a movie. I don't have time for that shit. I couldn't. But Daenerys, queen. I reckon that's the dream girl, Daenerys.
Oh, yeah.
Can you say it?
Yeah, Daenerys. Yeah. Khaleesi. Yeah, she was gorgeous. She was gorgeous. Yeah. Now, she's interesting because she was primary lion. She had to lead her people, and she was a fearless leader. She had swan, and she also had raven.
Got to have raven, yeah. Got to have raven.
Big raven, because she could walk through fire and birth the dragons, and I actually feel like I relate very well.
Guys, I'm talking about how.
And whereas Cersei, the Lannisters, You know, the Queen, Cersei, she was such a Joffrey. There was such dark lions.
Joffrey, rip.
Just such dark lions. I just didn't feel like I could relate there, but I could to Khaleesi. I feel like I could get her.
Yeah.
I loved, obviously we love Jon Snow, and Jon Snow is everyone, every man, every person.
Wasn't it?
And
John Butler.
I didn't like Jon Snow.
you didn't like Jon Snow?
No, he annoyed me the whole time. Yeah.
I was like Jon Snow's girlfriend, the redhead one.
And he married her in real life.
I know. I love that.
She was a wildling. She was a swan. She was a swan, parrot, lion. Yeah. See, the Vikings and the wildlings were swans and swan lions. So if we look at mafia stories like we look at The Sopranos, which I love that series too. It's very swan lion, but there's, interestingly enough, peacock, and then they have some sparrow underneath it. Like there's surprising naivety and love of babies and little animals, and then they're ruthless mafia bosses and killers at the same time. It's which is very Italian personas, may I say. When you have lion, swan, peacock, and sparrow, that's actually the mix for Italy. And The Sopranos has that mix. It's really interesting. I loved with Jon Snow because he wasn't a lion, but he was very brave and a swan, and he had such integrity, and he wouldn't do it for ego. And how he had his companion Samwise.
Yeah.
And he was the owl dog. And we always need, it's like Frodo, Eden in so who are the people in Lord of the Rings, Eden? Frodo and
Sam and Frodo.
Sam and Frodo. And you had Sam, like Ron in Harry Potter. You have your dog swan companion who has to hold the load for you. Every now and then when the leader and the hero always has a moment of great self-doubt, self-judgment and collapse. And they've got to hold the quest for a little while until they can restore and rise from the ashes and go forward again. And that's their role, to be that person there to hold it, but always as the great supporter. And we see that with Samwise to Jon Snow. He's one of the most beautiful characters in that whole series. But it's very much of our times as we're moving in that. We've had the toxic masculine, the patriarchal times. We had the lion and the beaver ages. I found it interesting that the Game of Thrones came out and was so globally popular because it was all lion. It was all the aristocracy. It was all about that misuse of power and lion themes and how we're needing to move on from that. And you can't move past Game of Thrones without talking about Tyrion Lannister.
Yeah, my fave.
Oh, the wisdom of that man. So he was a primary parrot, Jess, full of excess.
Amen. And Al.
And Al, because the wisdom. It is. That's why you got it.
That's why I like him so much.
And he was a lion too. He had enormous courage and he saved them over and over again. So clever, so strategic. The depth of wisdom as he grows through the series, it's an awesome journey to watch. Absolutely awesome to watch his journey, and he is the favorite, and he's an inspirational actor as well as that character in that. Have we got any other comments, Jess, Eden, Sarah, or how are we going?
No, we had, who was it that said it? Sandy said we're busy listening when we didn't have comments before. And Danny said, Katie, we know you'd love a dragon to tour with.
I would love a dragon to, and to set fire to those that I deem are worthy of living.
Distraction.
Instead of going in the bin, we'll just burn them and let's start again. So, I have a very sweet raven lion. What can I say? What can I say? So that's an interesting. They're interesting looking at all the podcast series. The TV series, to have a look at movies. You'll be drawn to shows that have your personas. I loved Wire in the Blood. Lots of detective shows, Morse and Lewis, and they're all the Danish series, The Killing, The Eagle. I'm just watching a great now one, When the Dust Settles, but they're my personas, so I love watching them because it's like I'm learning about myself when I see my personas being played out in characters. And great writers tune into the personas because it's in the collective unconscious. They can tune into the collective unconscious and they write true to the persona. When we watch shows and the character does something they wouldn't do, and I don't want to watch that. It's just, that's rubbish. They would not do that. They lose credibility. So we're all drawn to shows that have our personas in them.
I was going to say, I think it's quite parrot as well to, there's all the personas in there, but it's quite parrot to look for yourself in TV shows and in movies. I think it's quite a parrot thing because it's parrots are the original characters. You know,
Yeah.
they're the original. Let me embody. You
Yeah.
know, I know when I watch anything, either I fully empathize with it or I don't.
Yeah.
And if I can be like, oh, I can stand in those shoes, then I can watch it and I'll be loyal.
Yeah, me too.
Watch it till the day I die. If I can't get in the flow of the story, if I can't be the person, if I can't see myself in it, I don't watch it. I don't care. You know, I think that's quite a parrot thing. But
it is.
Yeah.
Well,
What else?
Yeah. Sorry, you go, Jess.
And I forgot what I was going to say.
Sorry. No, I was going to say it's even with maybe with Nightingale, we're naturally drawn to things that make us feel. So
Yes.
And it doesn't, it doesn't need to be highly emotional, but feel anything really. We just look for something that we.
Dude, and owls, it's like, let me learn. Like, I can't watch a movie because my parrot doesn't have the attention span, but I can watch a documentary because my owl is like, let me soak it up, let me learn. I love docu-series. I can sit for an hour and a half if it's a documentary. I can't do it for a movie. But how interesting, like how each persona is going to view media almost.
Absolutely. There's a set way of doing that. That's why I like crime and the shadow in people, because that's what Ravens are all about. How can we transmute our shadow? How can we love those inner demons, those inner parts of ourselves we've rejected, and find what they were here to do? Because you can't get rid of parts of yourself. And so, and I know that but for the grace of God, go I. I see when I see somewhere some people have gone, I think, no, I know I've had that sort of rage. I've had that sort of intensity, in different circumstances. I'm really fascinated by motivation and what makes people tick. So, of course, dramas and crime shows, detective shows, my father, I love them. I love them.
That's a huge thing in the last 5 years or so. True crime podcast. That's a huge thing. Also, I just thought of a really fun game, Eden. What if we name people and we just get mum to see if she can name their top 3 personas?
Yes.
She's really good at it. This is where she makes the big bucks.
If I've ever heard of them, that would be a help.
Okay, now we have to think of people. Oh, okay, we'll start with Kris Jenner. Come on.
Easy. Peacock, Lion, Swan.
Peacock, Lion, Swan.
Oh, she's hard ass.
Swan in communication.
I don't know whether she'd be in communication. Let me think. Peacock, Swan, Lion. Peacock,
Swan. We got up Lion. And she got some Beaver in there because her work ethic to make that.
And so Beaver 4. So I go Peacock, Swan, Lion, Beaver.
She loves her children based on how much money they're earning.
So it's transactional.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so then you could say Peacock, Beaver, Lion, Swan.
Yeah. Because also she made a fucking empire.
She has. And when I was the lion is the empire builder, the lion. So it's Beaver in relationships. That is how I love you, how much you've done with money. Okay. Peacock, Lion, Beaver, and then there'll be Swan underneath because she is ruthless and hard, and it's about that.
But a genius, a business genius.
Mum, someone has said Mrs. Bucket or Mrs. Bouquet.
Oh, isn't she fantastic?
Yes, good one.
She is a peacock, lion, beaver as well. So it's really funny. It's all about networking and how you look and what other people think, and appearances and making other people jealous. And we know so and so and dropping names. I mean, peacocks can be really awful at this. Oh yeah, we know so and so. Or when we saw so and so and they just say their first name. Well, you know who I mean. That one. That one. Oh, gee, we're impressed. So that was the point. Yeah. And what shall I wear? And we'll get this, don't break my little Royal Dalton teacups and everything. So she's a very conservative but non-sexual, very interesting. Because
again,
of the
sociological math, if we looked at that.
I was just about to go there, Jessie, because of the times raised in the 50s, 40s, 50s, the women were allowed to have some peacock, but not too much. And the sexual part, the free sexual part, no. So it was all about appearances, tidiness, neatness, and climbing the social hierarchy in the town.
Wasn't it called Keeping Up Appearances?
It was. It's just perfect. Keeping up appearances. And so we all get that. And we had Onslow in that show, who was the swan parrot, lazy dog. So he was swan parrot dog, dirty, messy, never washed like Jessie and Abby don't wash. Once a week if we're lucky, have a shower, never pick up after themselves. And that, of course, the funny part of that was it was the opposite of Mrs. Bucket, because she that was the opposite. That made it funny because she was mortified by them. And then, of course, we have her dog Beaver husband, who's a nondescript nothing, who just obeys and does what he's told and never speaks up. And I know for a fact Trevor's dad used to yell at the TV watching this and say, "Stand up for yourself, speak up, don't let her talk to you like that."
Oh God!
Yeah. It just enraged him that a man could take the woman telling him to do that all the time, over and over again.
What about this partnership? Because it's very important. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
Ooh, saucy.
How are they communicating? Do they have something in common that helps them with communication or with their values, or what do you think? From just
They've got Al.
They both have Al.
And there's actually dog, and there's a genuine compassion and care of people. I think her Al is higher than Joe Biden's, because he's more Beaver our dog or something like that. Yeah. He's known how to play the system and to go in there. He's probably got line in his second three. He's of that generation. It's not uncommon to see three animals.
Do you think he has Nightingale? I think of just how he speaks about his children and how and the loss and the trauma.
I do. So it might not be dog, it may be Nightingale. So one or the other, dog or Nightingale. She's got Beaver and Lion, so she's our Beaver and Lion, and has been very progressive. In some ways, I'm hoping she's going to be more so. She was, but for herself, as an Indian Asian woman coming to this country, to their country, her parents coming to that country. Obviously, parents were academic. Her mum was an academic, and she's just been fearless in going for what she needed to do and achieved very highly. She's a very interesting and very, very capable. Well, we lost him. Capable woman. The video will resume. What were your thoughts about Kamala?
Yeah, I know. From what I understand of Kamala, that she's not as progressive on some issues as I think people would hope that she is.
I would agree.
Especially, just with African American community and with there was something about an incarceration bill. I don't know.
We had a very high incarceration rate of Black Americans, and very non-compassionate. But this was back in the 90s, and people change, and we've got to give people a chance.
Oh, definitely.
You have grown. My ideas have grown of what's right and what isn't.
If someone was to judge me based on who I was when I was 18, I'm going to have a very different way of looking at the world now at nearly 30. But I genuinely think Kamala also has a real compassionate side. I'm not sure in terms of dog or like a softness there for her.
I'm not sure about that. I haven't seen that.
Yeah, I haven't either. Yeah.
Because some of her past and policies, with both of them,
I know, have not been good. Have not been good.
Harshness that I would not expect from a dog Nightingale.
No, she hasn't got dog or Nightingale. She definitely doesn't have dog or Nightingale.
Harshness to her, and whereas Biden, I feel, has a softness in a different way.
It's interesting.
Definitely got Nightingale.
I think will be really interesting too.
Very much.
You're an older white male going through whatever Biden's done, and then you're a bit younger but woman of color,
baby boomer,
an immigrant. It changes everything.
It does change everything. It does change everything. And he isn't such an ideologue as she would be. She would have very strong ideas of this is what I believe in, this is what I'm going for, whereas he's more flexible. He's always been the mediator. He's always been, I'll step between, I'm a great bridge, I get legislation through, I can talk to both parties, the Republicans and the Democrats, and he's known for that, which I think his role here is a bridge builder to the new, but will he go, no, but whether he'll get to, because he's of the traditionalist generation, it's much more old school, and she's a baby boomer. And we talked about that, Jessie, in our previous Be Live, which people may like to look at going into politics, was the Trump to AOC, where we've gone generationally. It's very fascinating.
I think about that one often because we almost disagreed with each other at some point, and I think that was our generational difference too.
Yes.
I feel so much more anarchist-socialist.
You do. You do.
In terms of my politics, in terms of what I'll cope with and what I'll stand. And there's things with Biden and Harris that I'm not cool with. And
well, me too.
at the same time, you know, we take the lesser of two evils, but I'm like, we're not done.
No.
This is the beginning.
No. This is a transition step. We have to get to a long way better than here.
But it also is highlighting, though, the impact your personas, not just on a generational level, but what your personas can mean in terms of your political views, political values, whatever else. Because I'm sure Jess and I agree on a lot of things, but because I've got Beaver and Al quite high, there are going to be other things that I'm going to have a completely different view on. And I'm hopeful that, I mean, this is not going to be the same tumultuous 4-year pattern that we've just been in. And it was a good stepping stone in the right direction. And the other option was just going to be just awful. So, by the way, Danny's just said, I'll be interested to see how their personas come through now that they're more in the spotlight. There's a front there, but want to see what's underneath. And yeah, it's totally that political front that you have.
Always the actions, isn't it?
Always, yeah.
That's the thing. We can talk and talk. And then when you look at the actions of what they've actually done, it's not that fucking progressive.
Oh, no, they're not.
They're not progressive, though. But
they don't claim to be. They're not even claiming to be.
No. Which is awesome as not Trump, but it's also don't get complacent and don't go, yay, everything's sweet again. No. So, no, that isn't necessarily good. The Democratic Party's fucked. Also, are we getting too political?
Yeah.
Coming back to TV, what's a good show to watch?
Oh, I know. Oh, Jess, you go.
I got one. Cat Day Night.
Oh!
Here's one. Give it to me.
Oh, Cat Day Night is just the best.
Waiting for Telstra.
Yeah. She is Sparrow, Peacock, and Beaver.
So funny.
She is hilarious. Sparrow, Peacock. Oh, she's so fast. Her energy is so quick and so fast, and she's cleaning all the time, and she's got this done, and by 9 o'clock she's made the dinner. Everything's done. She's done. Yeah, she's done. She is. I love her. Whereas Kimmy is a swan peacock, so she's high maintenance but really lazy. And I want it all done for me, but I can't be doing that. Brett, you should do it. They're like wanting him to be the servant, and he's the dog. Both Kel Knight and Bretty have got the dog who are obeying the wives. It's just, I love that series. Our British friends.
What about
Sharon? Oh, Sharon is a swan. Look at me.
Dog.
She is a dog. Yeah, she's a dog. And she's a swan, and she'd have some sparrow, and she would have some parrot, I think.
Do you think you've got any nightingale? She just so desperately wants to find a soulmate.
Sparrows do too. Sparrows fall in love. We're falling in love, Eden. Sparrows.
Oh, okay.
Oh, handsome nightingale. Yeah, that's just...
Fabuloso. So we recommend as an Australian series, if you love Gavin and Stacey, our equivalent, Kath and Kim.
Yeah.
Also, if you have time, get on YouTube, Big Girl's Blouse. That was the original Kath and Kim. There is a skit called the Gay Olympics that they did in 1992. It is still accurate to this day. It is so funny. Big Girl's Blouse was like Australia's first female comedy troupe. Almost.
Yeah, they were pioneers. So in life, they just did extraordinarily well.
What do you reckon they are in real life?
Okay, so I know I read Magda Sabansky's book Reckoning. My God, what an owl nightingale is she?
Really?
Oh my God, clever, brilliant, huge nightingale. She would have swan. She was a champion tennis player. Has a very interesting backstory, but the heart, and she's parrot. She's all compassion, but her writing is just superb. She's an absolute natural owl. She's wonderful.
Wow.
Yeah. Whereas Kath, so what's her real name in real life? Tell me, help me. Jane. Or Gina. No, Gina Riley's the other one, and Jane Turner. Again, they're brilliant writers and observers. So she's
phenomenal.
Yeah, so she's got Sparrow because she can write Sparrow, but she's got Parrot as well, and she's got Owl, and she's got Observation, and she's got Lion. Like, she's just fearless and courageous, and they make these things happen. There's a brilliant peacock in Gina Riley. Her music, her singing.
Her voice.
She was in the games that we had before the 2000 Sydney Games, and she was in the series, and she sang, oh my God, and her daughter is a singer, musical theatre singer. Absolutely brilliant. No, her real daughter in real life. You just wanted to say Ebony Ray. Yeah. But her daughter in real life is a brilliant singer. And there you go. Any other series, my darlings?
Any other series? No, I'll just say Sarah said Kath and Kim, this is the real stuff. Natalie said, my husband is so much like Brett.
Oh my God.
Brett.
Well, my husband is like Kel. I married Kel.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did. You know, when Keith gets out on the dance floor, Trevor would like to do that, but he knows we'd be divorced, so it's not happening.
Helen said Gavin and Stacey.
Oh, Gavin and Stacey. Oh my God, I love it. I love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. Well, Smithy, who's so bloody brilliant, James Corden, who's done karaoke, carpool karaoke and been a mega superstar in America, Late Show with James Corden. But in that show, he is a parrot swan. He's just hilarious. Stacey is a sparrow peacock.
Oh, yeah, on steroids.
On steroids.
It reminds me of Cass.
They're the same. It's sparrow peacock. They are.
They look the same.
Yeah. Now, they do. And they've got they look the same and the fast same energy.
Haircut.
Yeah, exactly. Little blondes, fast, wanting this, oh, very dramatic, oh. And it's Nessa is a great character, and I reckon she's a swan lion. And she's always boasting about how I had an affair with this one, and John Prescott this, and I knew them, and when I was back in the day when I was with so-and-so, oh my God, but she's like a swan lion, and there's a bit of peacock underneath there. So it's just hilarious.
I reckon Raven, bottom three.
Yes, I do too.
She reads it.
She does.
Reads the room.
I agree. She has got secondary 3 Raven. It's the only one in the program.
Oh, all right.
And Pammy, Pamela, what a peacock. But what a peacock. She's also got a sparrow. Oh my Christ, oh my Christ. Oh, I just love the drama, Michael. I love the I love her beyond imagining. So I reckon she's a peacock sparrow. So Gavin married his mum, but how often does that happen? Classic. So classic. Michael and Gavin, they're both very solid, aren't they? So beaver dogs. They're not owls. They're not studying. They're not learning. They're not reading anything. It's like I actually can't. They've got a bit of peacock maybe underneath. You don't like nice things, but in the second 3, you know how he's all buttoned up with his shirt and he's all presented very nicely.
Yeah.
My little prince.
My little prince.
Literally sanded.
Yeah, literally sanded. Except he got my peacock and he didn't really appreciate being told that as a squad.
You're like my little prince.
Yeah. No. I've got a little princess in the name of Eden, but I don't have a little prince. So there we go. So that's I love them. Those characters were just so well done, and you could see the repeated marriages. So yeah, Stacey and Gavin were just like Pamela and Mick.
On a side note, Scott said, I think I married Khaleesi.
You did. Oh, Simone. Well, I'm Khaleesi too. She's even more Khaleesi. Simone is even more Khaleesi. Now, can I say that next year we're very excited. We're going to be offering a free series, which will be a podcast series called Wonderful Humans. And we're going to be interviewing people who know their maps and finding out about their real stories and some of the hard stuff. And so we can all have Me Too moments where we go, oh, my God, it's not just me who's messed up this way or who's struggled here or done that. And we find out through their maps what it says about them. And then we find out their aspirations and their dreams. And let me tell you, Scott's wife, Simone, is Khaleesi take 2. No question. She has
has 7 dragons.
Yeah, she has. And you would not go and fight with her, let me tell you. So it's gorgeous, and I love it a bit. And so, Simone, you're booked, darling. Whether you want to come or not, you're booked.
Give us a lift.
Yeah, we'll have it, but it's going to be lovely. It's like Humans of New York. We're going to hear people's real stories, but in great detail, where we understand their soul maps and who they are. And we go, oh, you go like this, this, and this, don't you? Because our maps tell us exactly, with laser accuracy, exactly who we are and how we operate.
I love that.
I love that. Anyone else that you want to discuss, my darling? We're talking about our favourite shows here, which is just...
I know, I can't remember what else we all know.
Yeah, what are we... I did. I was going to say, because I know she's your favorite actress and you probably really want to spend time talking about her. So Nicole Kidman.
Moulin Rouge. Wow, what a voice. What a voice.
Mum would rather jump off the roof of her building than watch anything that Nicole Kidman's in. By the way, I watched The Undoing, Mum, and I really liked it.
I watched it too. I thought the last episode was good. The rest of it, oh my God, give me a break. I just can't cope with the plastic surgery. I can't cope. Now, is it FOMO? Is it FOMO, people? When
Definitely FOMO.
Is it FOMO? No, but seriously, as an actress, I want to read more in your face.
Why was she in a musical film when you can't sing?
She sang the theme to Undoing.
She did. When it started and I heard her, I was like, "Ooh!"
Right?
She is beautiful, but
all the time.
I don't know. I'm changing. 2020 has changed all of us. I don't know. We're spending less money. We're shopping less because we've done the isolation lockdown, and that I feel like, as the Kardashian series is not going to be going on next year, I feel like the plastic peacock stuff, and which is also the plastic surgery, and I've done the Botox stuff, I'm happy to admit, but I don't want to go that way. I just have this aversion now. I want to make it real. We were watching a series last night, Trevor and I, and there was a Tiffany ad for this extraordinarily expensive diamond jewelry. And I looked at it and I was actually a bit repulsed. And I felt it's just so irrelevant to what our world needs right now, to what that could be, what people need, and the suffering that's still going on everywhere. And we've got asylum seekers locked up in indefinite detention. We've got people who don't have unemployment benefits in the US, and the cruelty and the inhumanity. And how could you buy? I just feel like we've had a changing of values perspective and all that. And what's happened for me with Peacock 5 is, when I see too much plastic peacock mannequin look now, which takes away the character of the face. I mean, she's beautiful, Nicole Kidman. She's talented, she's beautiful, she's mesmerizing to look at, but it doesn't feel authentic, and I can't feel her. And I want to really feel the humanity of her, and I want to see her face age. I want to see the character coming through from the life lessons in her 50s that she's learned. And that's a change in me. And I think that maybe that is a theme that's happening across our world, that people are seeking in this new era. As we've got the Age of Aquarius coming in on Monday, on December the 21st, we are going to a more feminine-led age, much more innovative, much more rule-breaking, much more creative, much more humane, about community, not about individuals. And it's going to be very, very different. And our priorities is literally, it's like the torch has moved. It's gone, no, we're not there now. We want authentic stories, and we're going to connect via stories. We're going to connect by understanding and really knowing who each other is, while we've still got a shared story between us.
I would also say that I think for me, a lot of that stuff is also accepting that people have made the choice to look the way they are, to make themselves feel beautiful in their skin, or to it's very much about them. It's not about me. And so if I see them and go, I think you look plastic and horrific, all good. I don't need to look plastic and horrific if that's how I feel. But I also feel like we are coming into an age where we need to accept people for really for who they are, and for
whichever way they want to go and express. Yeah.
Because, for instance, an example of that is being trans. Hey, I'll be the fucking poster boy today, but like trans women, for instance, to be plastic isn't necessarily the aim, but there might be an aim to feminize, and the only way you can do that, because you've gone through that puberty, is to have physical surgery and cosmetic surgery that makes you do that. But at the same time, it's also understanding the social cultural map, which has been so cool about our mapping fucking groups that we've done this year, was realizing that there was another map hanging over all of us. Whereas, for instance, the Kardashians, they grew up as a product of their time.
That's right.
As a product of their mom, as a product. So, we don't judge them. We don't shame them. We don't shit all over them because they've made those choices. We understand the social cultural map of where you are in this place and time. And also if that's what makes you feel good for you, then that's what makes you feel good for you. Yeah. It doesn't necessarily bleed into authenticity, but I think there's also place for compassion and understanding.
Oh, I agree, Jesse. I think that's very true. You're both right.
Particularly, for instance, the Kardashian era. We'll look back on that and go, that was such a social, cultural peacock era in American history. like they almost didn't have a choice. You know what I mean? Like,
it's a peacock lion era. Exactly.
They borderline didn't have a choice, and if they can navigate out of that space now, then almost good on them to some degree. Like, and in the same way that again, the plasticky stuff can be borderline life saving for certain types of people, but also fully understand what you're talking about. We're saying it's about we're not trying to invest into that and make it, because there was a period of time. There was almost like a decade of time where we had Instagram, Facebook coming in, the digital age.
Yes.
It was Kardashian, it was reality TV. That was the social cultural map of that decade. It was Peacock first, and that's what it looked like. We can do Peacock first, but we can do it in a different way now.
They all evolve, don't they? Like all the personas evolve over history. And we're having one of the most radical changes for all the personas now. We're having it in ourselves. We're going to new ways of being, and we're having it generally and historically and globally. It's actually such an exciting time to see that. And, we can let people be. We could all be judged for how we were last week, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 30 years ago. I don't want to be judged by how I was when I was parenting you two. I have grown enormously, and we agreed to come into this world together and grow together. And unconditional love is, I understand that. I understand you got stuck there. I understand you got stuck there because that's inevitable with your personas. But and we can celebrate people evolving to even more authentic versions of themselves, free versions of themselves.
And I think it's also just about our own self-acceptance and self-love too. I know that a lot of times when we criticize people for how they look or for superficial things, really, we're speaking to a truth about ourselves. And I think that coming into 2021, I think we all need, especially coming through a very traumatic year, I think the first thing we need to be doing is speaking to ourselves in a loving, kind, gentle way, looking at ourselves in the mirror and just thinking you are just an incredible human being, that you're even here, and the superficial stuff, if it's not for you, don't follow it. Don't seek it. You don't actually have to be in that energetic space if you don't feel like you want to be there with yourself,
That's a legit segue into coming back to our parenting podcasts, if you'd like to buy them. Literally, it is that, though. It is coming back to the self-parenting, coming back to if you're actually okay with you, what anyone else is doing doesn't even bother you, It's that self-acceptance, the self-parenting. The podcast really help you do that, so that the more cool you get with yourself, the more people can just do whatever, and you're like, sure, awesome. If that's good for you, love that.
We don't make comparisons with others, but we learn to celebrate and embrace exactly who we are, and then teach our kids to celebrate and embrace exactly who they are. There's no accidents here. We're all exactly as we're meant to be. It's exactly right. And we just help us to get more aligned in our life with being all of who we are. And it's such a lovely process when you see people doing that. And when you see someone comfortable in their own skin, how attractive is that?
Oh, that's it. It doesn't. You can be any shape, size, whatever. Like if you wear it with confidence, you are just the most beautiful person in the world.
Confidence is the thing.
Yeah.
That's what peacocks do so well.
It is. Love light people.
Do it so well. They look every which way, but people they fucking look good, and they own it. It's a confidence.
They can teach us to be more confident in our unique style. Never compare yourself. Never compare yourself to anyone else, because we're all originals. That's something I've thought of today. We're all originals, and we're all original parents. You don't have to parent like anyone else. Always work out what's the best way for you to parent. See your own pitfalls, but if I aim for this and I keep being consistent with my child, with Eden, I need to consistently do this. Still to this day. With Jessie, I need to do this. With Sandra, I do this. And it's completely different.
Yeah.
And that's how it works.
Yeah.
Just one last person, because Scott just said, would love to hear your thoughts on John Lennon.
Oh, John Lennon. Wow, he had Raven. Yes.
But something else to tone that the fuck down. Well,
yeah, he had Nightingale. He had Nightingale as well. And Lion.
One was soft.
No, he was actually a real hard ass, Jess, and he was actually quite cruel. He was very cruel to the Beatles.
Did Yoko make him soft? He seems like such a...
No. If you know him more, and you know I am married to someone who thought he was the fifth Beatle, but really he's the fifth Wiggle.
I mean, they're the same.
Yeah, they are. Wiggles and Beatles, what's the difference? But poor Trevor, but he knows about John Lennon a lot because he's passionate about the Beatles. And there's definitely Raven. I mean, he was he was talking about things way ahead of his time. He was
Yeah,
writing
true.
about it. He was a genius musician. So he had the Nightingale. No, but he was very cruel, and Paul McCartney spoke about how cruel he could be.
Wow.
He didn't know how to manage it. And they did the Eastern philosophical spiritual journeys and had their guru, and they did all of that stuff. So he definitely had Raven, he definitely had Nightingale, and there was a swan in there as well for him, for sure.
Yeah.
Hello, and here he comes. You want to grab Abby, Ed, and Sarah before we end?
So this is Christmas, and what have you done? Another year older. You want to go.
Everyone join in.
Have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Let's hope it's a good one without any fears.
Take it away, Eden. Jesse.
Happy Boo!
Hi, Abby Boo. Thank you.
Everyone's saying they love you, Trevor.
Oh, they do. There we go. Come grab a seat, Trevor, just behind me. And Jesse, come on. Hi, Abby. How are you?
Ça va, ça va. I'm good. How you doing?
Happy Boo!
Can see you were having some fun?
We did have some fun. Come on into the camera, Abby.
I'm trying.
It's lovely to see you here. Can I thank Abby and Jesse and Eden and Trevor for their amazing support? No, for your amazing love and support for an enormous year's work that we've done. And I want to congratulate everyone who came to the courses, especially our Term 4 graduates. Wow, the commitment and what we learned, how much we grew. I'm quite a nice person now after this year.
Look, can I just apologise? Can I please apologise to all those people? Katie's language, people I've been counselling her on her language. I got to say the results are not excessive. In fact, they're negligible. But I'm counselling her on her bad language. So.
Exactly. So anyway,
We're locking her up.
Yeah, we'll lock her up.
Yes, I just realized. Hello, Jess.
Yeah, Jesse's there too. Jesse's there too.
My phone.
Yeah. Abby Vu's had a peacock haircut because he really likes that.
Yeah, but it's a new year. Normally, I wasn't supposed to show my face yet, but I'm doing a clean start. I'm just
clean start, everyone. Clean start.
Yeah.
We just love our beautiful Persona Grata community. It's grown so much, and all the little micro groups that we have become families of support, and that have nothing to do with us, which we just find amazing. And thank you for exceeding our expectations, everyone. And may we grow together through whatever's to come in this new age. You've changed our lives by being with us. So thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
Wow.
Play us out, Trevor.
So, yeah, play us out.
Love, love, love. Love, love.
Abby's dying.
Love, love, love.
Everybody from the groups that I'm with know what how much.
All you need is love.
Da, 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 da.
All you need is love.
Da, 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 da.
All you need is love. Love.
Love is all you need.
Yeah.
Love is all you need.
Very funny. No one will believe, Trevor, that I was ever a singer, having heard that disgusting rendition from
She's got a good voice. We were there, I promise.
Yeah, not anymore. Not anymore. 5 notes doesn't cut it. All right. Would you like to say anything, Abby Vu?
Thank you. Thank you for everything. Thank you. That's so much love for you all. There's just lots of comments coming in.
Love you. That's so great. Abby, what would you like to say?
Happy New Year! I but if I have to complete the Katie word, yes, it was a huge year, and I like I would have said in the group, but I suppose there is other people in the group now. But I hope everybody that was in the group have grown as much as we did, and that are more aligned to what they're supposed to be. Like, this is just the biggest gift for us, and being able to validate what the personal work can do from the doubt that we had at the beginning is a beautiful gift for the end of this year. out of all the drama that have happened. Like
Yes. Yeah.
at least there was something really good for us and what we're trying to build. So yeah, Happy New Year, everyone, and I hope you line every day.
Thank you, Abby Ver. Eden, Sarah, do you want to say anything, darling?
No, not really.
Ask the owl swan in the masculine to speak. Yeah.
No, I'll just say that I hope everyone feels proud that they've got through this year at all. It doesn't matter how much you've achieved or how little you achieved or how you're feeling right now. The fact is you've almost made it to the end of 2020, which is pretty phenomenal. And I hope that you guys have a beautiful Christmas and New Year, however that looks for you this year.
Yes.
A lot of us are not with family, obviously, over Christmas. But, yeah, just lots of love to everyone. And I hope that you guys join next year and you keep going with your persona journeys.
Thank you, sweetheart. Jessie Lee?
Yeah, you can put me on the spot anytime.
Yeah.
I've got a group 2 shout out, just quietly.
Yes.
Because they sent me this shirt that said #profound fucker. I just got it in the mail today. It's like Ali, Renee, Holly, get all my girls, you know.
Group 2, thank you. That was so clever.
Group 2, I'm pissing myself over this. I can't wear this anywhere. Thank you so much, but enjoy the podcast. That was a big labor of love. I'm really scared and so excited for you to hear it.
Yeah.
Let us know how you find them. It's a pleasure as always. This is the best thing I've ever been a part of in my life. This right here.
Oh.
All of us right here. This little
I know.
love this. Living for this.
Yeah.
I feel, it's really nice. We're all separated. We're all interstate. We don't live near each other anymore. This is the most connected I've felt you guys in ages. It's been awesome. Love everyone in this community. Thank you for being here with us. Play that funky music, white boy, Trevor.
Yeah.
I just want to say I hate Christmas carols, but here we go. Do you want to say something, Katie, before you go?
Just love to see you all. It's so fantastic. Thanks for joining us, everyone, all year. We're going to do lots. There's lots to look forward to. I feel very positive about the year ahead, and that we're doing it together is life-changing. So thank you. And Trevor, play us out, my darling.
Jingle bells, jingle bells, jingle all the way.
I apologise.
I can't do it. I hate Christmas carols.
Oh, my God. Well, we hate it too. Bye. See you, everyone. Bye.
Have a great year.
Bye.
I apologise, people.